What's going on YouTube? So each year we get excited if we find a Lexus LC in our driveway.
And for 2024, we see some big updates for this sexy coupe, including new tech, but the same beautiful design.
So, is this LC better than ever? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's start things off under the hood with our spec dump. Now, unlike the previous times we tested out the LC500, we actually don't have the 5-liter V8. Instead, we have the hybrid systems. So this is a 3.5-liter turbocharged V6 engine with 2 electric motors, making 354 horsepower. It has a 4-speed automatic and eCVT combination transmission, which we'll talk about more later on. And your combined fuel economy is quite impressive at 29 mpg.
Now, of course, we're diving into all those details later on in the test drive. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading. After that, we'll talk about reliability and resale value as well.
But let's close up the hood because, of course, we have to start out with the beautiful exterior design. Now, a lot of people overuse the term timeless design, but I do think that really truly applies to this Lexus LC. This has been around for quite a while, and this 2024 refresh really didn't change anything with the exterior design. That's because it is already just absolutely gorgeous. This still gets a lot of attention. Tons and tons of people were taking double takes at this model. And as you can see up in the front, you continue on with that classic Lexus spindle grille. You've got a really nice look to this. It has this kind of curve to it, a little bit of chrome trim around the outside edges as well. And then the other really interesting thing about the design is, of course, the headlights. We have a really cool headlight design. So this is split into 2 different sections. You've got the futuristic looking triple beam right through there. And then you've got that dedicated arrowhead daytime running light and then your turn signal indicator separated over there. All in all, it just makes this vehicle look very exotic, but also very sophisticated. And of course, as we move around to the rear, you'll continue to see that nice looking design.
Yeah, this is a beautiful vehicle, and the rear, I'm honestly glad they didn't change much because this is absolutely a gorgeous rear design. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are these taillights. So Drew's hopping inside to see if all the taillight elements are LED. That's something we do in all of our reviews. We do have an LED brake light portion, LED turn signal indicator, and your LED reverse light is integrated down here. So all 3 elements are LED, and my oh my, we just appreciate these taillights here for a second. They have so many different layers inside. It has such an intricate and beautiful design. We have LC500H branding, and then down here in the lower diffuser, that doesn't change for the hybrid, so you're still going to get exposed exhaust outlets. If you choose the 500 with the V8, you will have an active exhaust system, and that will sound quite a bit better than this V6 model.
Now, coming over here to the wheels, this is one place that Lexus did make some changes for 2024. We now have new wheel options. So this is a 21-inch alloy wheel, new design on board. There's also another option that you can get as well, but really this is a very nice looking wheel. It matches with the overall aesthetic of being a little bit sporty, but not too crazy. And then as we move up here to our mirrors, you're gonna have that 2-tone finish, black on top, body color on the bottom. These are fully loaded, of course, with all the features. So you have heating, blind spot monitoring, power folding, and auto dimming.
Now here at the side, the overall vehicle length is about 187 inches long, and I do want to point out that we have the coupe variety today. You can also get the convertible, but do be aware it is LC500 exclusive for the convertible model. Now, also new for 2024 are some new paint colors, including copper crest. I absolutely love that color on this vehicle. We've seen it in person a couple times, and it is absolutely stunning. Now, in terms of your safety systems, you do have all of them as standard equipment, as you would expect out of a flagship Lexus. And like we said, there are big changes on the inside, so let's go ahead and dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
But this is a grand tour after all, so let's get into the interior. First, Take a look at this key fob, typical Lexus key fob, nothing too special going on here. Of course, you do have a standard smart entry system on board. The LC has always came with the pop-out door handles, so you just kind of press in right there. That's going to deploy them out as well as unlock the door, and then you can just grab and open it right up. All right, now checking out the interior. Obviously, it's a very gorgeous space, and there are also, of course, important updates, which we already mentioned, and we will get into that in just a second. But first, we need to talk about your seating material and color choices. So, real leather does come standard. However, we have the available full semi-aniline leather. This gives you just an absolutely beautiful seat. It feels super soft and supple. We do have a beautiful stitching design that goes through the center as well. We even have leather down here around the seat controls, which, by the way, are going to be 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar. You actually don't have 4-way lumbar. Now, let's talk a little bit about those color options, though. This is a new updated version of Rioja Red, so it just kind of changes the overall configuration throughout. You can also get black or the toasted caramel color options. Now, in terms of your door trim over there, you do have the memory seats integrated right there. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that I'm fully inside the cabin, let's go through the overall material quality. So, starting out with our door trim, you can see we've got this dark red leather across the armrest, and then we've got a nice section of an Alcantara that kind of runs up through here. Looks really nice and has a detail inside of it. You got the beautiful real aluminum door handle there and a leather across the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, of course, fully covered in leather all through here, as well as through here. You will notice that for 2024, we don't have that light up pattern anymore, but we do still have all the same leather and real aluminum trim, including this big handlebar for the passenger to hold on when you're driving aggressively. Overall, just a beautifully detailed cabin, and let's fire it up with the push button start. And now that it's fired up, let's get into some of the individual details. We'll start off with our gauge cluster. This is the same as last year. It's a really cool gauge cluster because it has that super neat sliding effect like the LFA used to have. That gives you additional details when you slide it out of the way or you go for the simplified in your day-to-day driving. If you don't want to look at this gauge cluster, which is 8 inches by the way, you also have an available head-up display, which has a good amount of information up there as well. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, we have a beautifully finished leather-wrapped steering wheel. You have perforation over here on the bolsters, leather-covered airbag cover, and the steering wheel itself is going to be power tilt and telescoping on all models, although we do have the available heating as an option. Now, let's turn over here and take a quick look at interior storage. You wouldn't expect a coupe to have all that much interior storage, but it's actually not too bad for this type of vehicle. So first of all, if I slide this back, we're going to reveal a small little cubby. It's a good place to maybe stick the key fob. And then it actually opens to the side here to access the center console. Inside, you'll notice that it's loaded down with donuts. That's because this is Car Confections and we like to do the donut test to see the volume of the center console, even if it is a coupe. Today, we're going to have 6 donuts inside, which is, again, not bad at all for this type of vehicle. Do like that nicely slides forward there. And we do have an additional cup holder underneath of this leather trimmed lid. Now, we have a leather trimmed electronic style shifter right here. You just go to the left and pull back for drive. You can press again to go into manual mode. And when you're in manual mode, you can shift with these beautiful paddle shifters. I absolutely adore these paddle shifters. Thankfully, Lexus has not changed them. They're real aluminum. They're quite large and overall just a joy to use. When we go into reverse, this is something I definitely want to talk about. We have a new 360-degree camera system. So as you can see, this has the latest graphics in the Lexus lineup, so you have a nice vivid picture. It gives you that full view around the vehicle, even though overall visibility is still quite good. And you do have active trajectory as well as front and rear parking sensors. And then just press the P there to go back into park. You also have your electronic brake hold located right there. Now, right off to the side of the shifter, you have a nice panel here dedicated to mostly your volume knob. So let's talk about that first of all. Standard is going to be a 12-speaker sound system. We have the available 13-speaker Mark Levinson reference audio, and we'll go ahead and give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of the system is excellent. Certainly fills up the cabin nicely. And you have one of the nicest volume knobs in the industry. I love this beautiful metal as well as the knurled buttons off to the side. It's really fantastic. Now, here's something I want to talk about as well, this button right behind it. If you press this, this is going to pull up your heated and ventilated seat controls. That doesn't sound noteworthy, except for in the past, this was something that Lexus didn't have a button for, so you had to fiddle around through the system to figure out where you actually make those adjustments if it didn't automatically choose the correct thing. Now, it does still have the auto function, so that it's supposed to connect with the general climate controls. And speaking of the climate controls, this is a dual zone automatic setup. Very simple to use. Lexus keeps good physical buttons here, so you can just use these metal toggles to go up and down with your temperature, and it does have the climate concierge system. Now, let's talk about this display though, because this I think is the most important thing that Lexus did to the interior and corrects what is probably this model's biggest flaw in the past. We now have a 12.3-inch touchscreen. So if you remember previously, they had a screen, but it was recessed way back here, and you had to use the touchpad controller, which was kind of difficult to use. And now we have this new system where we can actually use the touchscreen directly, and it's well within reach. The other big thing that this is adding is the fact that we have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, so you can run those systems without connecting your phone directly. Both of those things are big improvements and get this model up to date with the modern age of Lexus products. Finally, we do have an auto dimming mirror up here with our HomeLink universal remote. Since we have the touring package, that is something that's going to include a full Alcantara headliner. It's absolutely beautiful. And we do also have a sunroof on board. So of course you can either get the convertible with the 500 model, or if you get this hybrid, you're going to get this sunroof. It does not open though.
Now, one of the good things about the LC is that it does actually have 4 seats. So technically you can haul 4 people in this vehicle. So let's go ahead and check it out. Now, it's not going to be the largest amount of space, but in order to get back here, it's pretty easy. You just grab that little lever right there. It's going to slide the seat out of the way and allow you to get into the seats themselves. Now, as you can see, it's going to be a little tight, but let's go ahead and hop back here. Once you sit back here, you're going to be sitting at about 32 inches of legroom and headroom, according to Lexus. I'm 5'9" for reference, if you were curious, and as you can see, the headroom is going to be one of those areas where it's pretty difficult for someone of my size to fit back here. Your head's definitely going to be scraping the ceiling. You're going to be a little bit tilted. With the seat adjusted to a normal driving position, you are going to be pretty much no leg room whatsoever. I did bring my ruler back, so if I kind of slide the seat back a little bit, you may be able to see the fact that I don't have a ton of leg room. Actually, it's about 1.5 inches of spare leg room with the seat adjusted to Drew's position. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat, but do be aware, no armrest, no USB ports. It's pretty much just going to be bare bones. I imagine most people will be using this for groceries or whatnot. Now, walking up to the cargo area, you open it by pushing this button in the right taillight. And then as far as this area is concerned, we're going to be sitting at a little over 5 cubic feet for the LC500. If you choose the hybrid, it's reduced down to about 4.7 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity. Now, you will notice that we left all of our camera gear in here, and that's pretty much for demonstrative purposes of just showing you how much stuff you can fit back here. It's definitely enough for maybe a golf bag sideways, a couple little weekend bags for a weekend trip, but do be aware, it's not going to be massive or anything like that. If you want to haul stuff, I would suggest you get maybe the Lexus LX. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Lexus LC. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the powertrain section, so let's go ahead and dive into that. In the test drive, we'll also be doing things like getting our sound level reading, as well as the other things you can see on the screen right now. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration. And there is a little bit past 60 miles per hour in the LC500H. So like we said at the spec dump, we actually have the hybrid version of the LC today. We sampled out the 500 with the naturally aspirated V8 several times, and that's of course a glorious engine, but this is a new powertrain experience for you guys, so we're excited that we're able to share it with you guys. It's a 3.5 liter V6 engine. It's not turbocharged, and it does have electric componentry on top of that, altogether making 354 horsepower. The overall 0 to 60 as well is 4.7 seconds, so it's still pretty quick, up to 60 miles per hour. It's not quite as fast as the LC500, but still decently fast.
It's actually only 0.3 seconds off of the LC500, so it's just totally different in terms of the experience behind the wheel and that overall power delivery. So compared to the LC, of course, there's a big auditory difference, but I'm not even talking about that. Just the overall getting off the line pretty quickly with that electric, the 2 electric motors kicking out that instantaneous torque. It really feels nice right off the line, and then things are going to die down a little bit as you get up to speed. Overall, the 354 horsepower is a good deal below the LC500. It's greater than 100 horsepower less. It's actually about 120 horsepower less than the LC500. But it's still pretty quick.
Yeah, it's really quick, and the thing about it that's actually kind of funny is that it sounds like it has a supercharger whine under super hard acceleration. When it gets up to like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 RPM, it actually sounds like it may be supercharged, but it's not. It's just part of the overall powertrain experience.
Yeah, it sounds cool. It doesn't sound like the V8, obviously, but it does sound cool. It has its own character. I don't think that you'll be too bothered by this. Obviously, this is a choice that you make if you want to get the good fuel economy, which we'll talk about a little later. Now let's talk a little bit about the transmission, or should I say transmissions. So like we said at the Spec Up, this is one of the most interesting powertrain setups that we've ever experienced. It's very odd, but it does indeed have 2 transmissions. How this works is basically the fact that the LC500 in its traditional V8 form has 10 automatic gears. This also has 10 gears, but it gets that by combining a 4-speed automatic transmission and a continuously variable transmission with 6 simulated gears. So what you have happen when you're driving behind the wheel is that you feel simulated gear changes and also an occasional real shift. So it's shifting through a 4-speed automatic and also simulated shifting through a continuously variable transmission, or an ECVT. It's interesting, and its overall effect, it mostly works, but obviously that is complicated, and I think you feel a little bit of that complication in the day-to-day. We experienced throughout this week some rough shifts for sure when it is caught off guard with what you want it to do, and it seems to bounce around quite a bit as it's trying to choose the right combination of physical gears as well as simulated gears.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys. After living with this vehicle for the past 7 days and experiencing this transmission, it's not my favorite aspect of this vehicle. I really would have preferred a more traditional experience, I'm sure, with the mechanics and the engineering behind it. That may have not been possible. However, a traditional transmission does have a lot smoother performance, and I think you will notice that living that on the day-to-day. I will say that just kind of cruising down the highway, which a lot of people will be doing in this hybrid version of the LC, it does have very smooth performance and will blend right into the background, so that's good. However, on country roads and back roads, I think the transmission seems a little confused at times.
Right, and this is just regarding the transmission. The handoff between battery power and engine power, now that is absolutely seamless. I mean, they have done a stunning job with this. It actually cycles the engine on and off really quite a lot, but it's not something that you notice as you drive around.
Still sound, I mean, yeah.
It has a cool sound.
Yeah,
it really
does. It's very, unique character to this engine, that's for sure.
That was sport mode, by the way. And obviously you do have kind of some simulated sound inside the cabin as well. Now, speaking of sound, let's do something else related to sound, and that's the fact that we need to take our sound level reading at 55 miles an hour on our Kentucky stretch of highway here and see how this holds up.
Back in normal mode, and let's speed up to 55 with fan speed on 1.
All right, looks like we ended up at 56.3 decibels.
Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how that compares to some of the rivals. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website, we've posted all of the vehicles that we've tested. Certainly, we've tested a lot of cars, so we'll see how that compares.
Now, obviously, sports cars usually aren't focused tremendously on sound, but we do have it in that category, and it is going to be the quietest two-door sports car that we have tested out on this channel.
Now, obviously, this is a vehicle that is not really focused on being sporty, and indeed, especially here in this hybrid version, it's not really focused on a sporty characteristic. That being said, you can still kind of hustle it and have a little bit of fun in this vehicle. You know, it is a two-door coupe after all. But the thing that I really want to talk about is the ride quality, because that's the thing that every LC owner is going to be looking for, and I have to say this vehicle does a phenomenal job with the ride. Even despite being on 21-inch alloy wheels on the outside, when you hit a bump, it just does a phenomenal job of soaking it up. Little to no penetration in the cabin, and may I add that these seats are incredibly comfortable. They are like some of the nicest seats I have ever sat in. They hug you in just in the right way, and I mean, it's just very, very nice.
Yeah, when you think of a grand touring vehicle, this just absolutely nails that, because you could be inside this LC all day long and you're not going to be uncomfortable. So you've got still the sexy good looks, but most of the time that comes with the compromised packaging and being uncomfortable inside the cabin. Not the case with this.
Alrighty, but let's get into one of our other elements, our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball favorite and least favorite element about this LC 500H. Well, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk, Drew?
Yeah, so the Slam Dunk is going to be the changes they made for 2024. In particular, the biggest thing that anyone was complaining about was the fact that we had this ancient infotainment system that was very hard to use with the Lexus Remote Touch. This finally gets that touchscreen experience like the other Lexus products have been integrating for the last few years. It gets the latest software with wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Just gives you a modern tech experience so that this is no longer like sticking out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
On the Airball side of things, like we said, we've lived with this vehicle for a week, and we've also had the privilege of living with the LC 500 not once but twice for a full week. So the thing that we just wanted to mention was that there's really not a lot of reason to buy the hybrid version unless you just really want the fuel economy. It is a little bit of a compromised package. It doesn't sound as good. The transmission's quite a bit clunkier than the 10-speed in the 500, so I personally would definitely take that model over this. However, the fuel economy is going to be quite a bit better. And speaking of the fuel economy, Drew, why don't you give them the rating?
So in terms of the official EPA rating, let's start with that. 26 city, 33 highway, 29 combined. So obviously that's very impressive on its own. But I think you'll be even more impressed to know what we have actually achieved over the last week. So
yeah, we're sitting at 30.3 miles per gallon, doing mixed driving, some city, some highway.
And the little performance driving as well.
Yeah, and performance driving. So I think that's a really, really impressive figure here with the LC. Definitely when you choose the 500 model, do not expect to be getting those numbers. It does not even come anywhere close to 30 miles per gallon.
That's rated for 18 combined.
Yeah, and we were getting worse. I think we were getting around 16 when we had it for a week. So you're going to be spending a lot more on fuel if you choose the 500, so do keep that in mind. And last things to mention here, I do want to point something out that really I noticed over the course of the week. I mentioned that these seats are really comfortable, and I do stand by that. However, one of the things that I think is a little odd for a vehicle that costs well into the six figures is the fact that we don't have four-way lumbar support, and also that we don't have available massage. That's not offered on any LC model. So I would have maybe liked them to add that for the refresh, considering that the LX has massaging seats available. I think that that would be a nice addition to this model. As far as last things to point out, the warranty is going to be Lexus Signature Warranty, which is a 4-year, 50,000 mile basic, 6-year, 70,000 mile powertrain. You do also get complimentary maintenance.
And let's talk pricing for this LC. So we are going to start a little under $100,000 for the 500 base model. We are sitting at 101 for this 500H model. With the options, we're sitting at about 106 and 20. So for this particular tester, I also do want to point out for the convertible, that starts around 107 and will top out around 115,000. Now, if you're looking to buy a Lexus LC or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video.
But now it's time to talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we're going to discuss resale value. Now, as an economics double major, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus LC's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, this LC will be worth around 53.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, around 28.1%. Now, as far as resale value percentages go, that is above industry average for all vehicle brands, and is actually the #1 luxury brand for resale value. However, do be aware that this LC is a very expensive vehicle, and expensive vehicles do tend to lose more value by percentage.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. Just like with the resale value, again, we're going to see that Lexus is the #1 luxury brand, and it is also above average even when you compare it against mainstream offerings.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale value and reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands.
And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the refreshed Lexus LC. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're not only going to get more car reviews like this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we have a lot of fun on this channel that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. So do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.